Israel, Yahanna, to my brothers, Yahweh Shamar, Alathan Bashim, Yahweh Shah, to my sisters. This is Tuesday Night Law class here in I.S.U.P.K. Atlanta, here in Decatur, off 3353 Glenwood Drive, Decatur, Georgia. We're here tonight to tell you that brotherhood is a weapon. And according to the world, they will have you believe that coming together with your brothers is, not the thing to do, but to come together with other nations is what's to do. But tonight we're going to get into some things about how the Most High wants us to operate in brotherhood. And in operating in brotherhood, we got to understand that there is only one brotherhood, and that's in the I.S.U.P.K. And you can't find another group, another organization, another anything that is, equivalent to what the Most High has ordained through the brotherhood and the I.S.U.P.K. When you look at all the organizations that came out since we've been here in America since 1619, everything that has come out in that time period has not been here to help us. It's been here to destroy us. And in that destruction, we find ourselves becoming something that we're not. We become African American. We become Jamaicans. We become Haitians. We become Dominicans. We become Guatemalans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, and the list goes on. Instead of calling ourselves by, what the Most High gave us, and that would be, the children of Israel. And tonight we're going to talk about the children of Israel. But before we get into it, we got to get a baseline. And if I could, I'm going to pull a scripture, and that would be Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1. Other one, you got a sword on you that also in the classroom?
I got a word.
All right, I'll start me on, if you don't mind, Baruch chapter 4 and verse 1. And the reason we're going to start with Baruch 4 and 1 is because in order to understand brotherhood, we got to understand what the Most High wants us to do anyway. We can't have brotherhood by just doing what we want to do. We got to have a man in charge, and the man in charge is the Most High power. And he sent Christ to be the second in charge under him, you know what I'm saying? And the disciples after him, and it made it all the way down to Commanding General Yahanna, to pass on these laws, statutes, and commandments along with the judgments so that we'll know what it is to be a brother. Other one, you got that scripture? Go ahead, Other one.
Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God.
Say what? This the book of what?
This is the book of the commandments of God.
The Bible, including the Apocrypha, is the book of the commandments of the Most High Power, who we know as Yahweh here in the I.S.U.P.K. Go ahead.
And the law that endureth forever.
And the law that endureth forever. This law has been in effect since Adam, verbal. And then it was written by Moses and kept by Christ so that we can learn how to do and be what the Most High wants us to be. And that is, righteous men and women under the Most High in Christ. Go ahead, Other one.
And the law that endureth forever.
Go ahead.
All they that keep it shall come to life.
All that keep it shall what?
Come to life.
When you keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, you're coming to life. There's nothing that anybody or anything can do to you because you're keeping the law, statutes, commandments of the Most High. And when you're doing that, the Most High is with you. Go ahead on the other one.
But such as leave it shall die.
And when you leave the law, statutes, and commandments, you're walking directly into death. You know what I'm saying? And we're here to keep you from walking in that path of death, that path of destruction. We're here to show you how to keep the law, statutes, commandments according to the Most High power and Christ. You know what I'm saying? So what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about a little brotherhood, and the brotherhood we're going to begin and talk with is that of the Native Americans, the Gadites, who we would call Gadites, Reubenites here today. You know what I'm saying? The Seminoles and the North American Native Indians. We're going to deal with these, our brothers, you know what I'm saying, in Israel today. And in doing so, we need to pull a couple of brotherhood scriptures to find out why and how important they are and why they are important. So if I could I get someone to read for me Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 64. Read it when you got it, Baba Kashaw. Because in order to understand brotherhood, we need to understand what Moses was trying to get us to understand in the wilderness. What our ancestors did not want to understand in the wilderness. What we don't want to do today as blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because we're caught up in the thing called Christianity, the drug called Christianity. And being caught up in Christianity will have you doing any and everything for your oppressor. And we're not here for the oppressor. We're here for the life and the well-being of our brothers and sisters, our Israelite brothers and sisters, scattered across this world from the four corners. You know what I'm saying? You know, we're concerned about you. We're concerned about the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Someone just call in? Anyone? Someone just call in?
So like I said, yes, Antifa checking in.
Shalom, sis. Y'all smile. Talk about Shem. Y'all shy. You Tawab?
I'm Tawab.
Block you, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah, how about Shem? How shall work it down? Your man Charles checking in.
Yeah, how about Shem? Y'all shy. Young man Charles, you Tawab?
Yeah, I'm Tawab out of one. How about yourself?
I'm Tawab, man. I can't complain, man. I hope y'all had safe travels, safe journeys over there, you know what I'm saying, to do what y'all got to do to get broke in, to become, you know what I'm saying, what the Most High will have you to be called as soldiers in this truth, you know what I'm saying. Glad to hear your voice, knowing that you did some good work this weekend. But if I may, young man Charles, do you have your Apocrypha on you?
Come on, sir.
I need you to pull a scripture and hold it for me. I want you to pull 2 Ezra chapter 13 and verse 45. 2 Ezra 13 and 45. I want you to get it and hold it for me. Anybody else on the line? Anybody else on the line? We got anyone else on the line? Before I go any further, do my Akim and my Akwafian, do you have any questions, anything you'd like to bring out right quick before we get into this topic, deep into this topic? All right. Young man Charles, I want you to keep that scripture that I just told you to read, that 2 Ezra scripture. And I also want you to go into the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, and I want you to go to verse 28 and 64. 28 and 64. And when you get it, go ahead and read it. Because we're talking about brotherhood and what it means to be brother, what it means to be a brother, and we're also talking about how brotherhood is a weapon. So in order to find out about brotherhood and brotherhood being a weapon, and finding out about these, who we're going to talk about this evening, the Native American Indians, you know what I'm saying, the Gadites and the Reubenites, we need to start right here in these scriptures. We need to start with Moses. We need to see what Moses said. And when you get it, read that for me. 28 and 64, 28 and 63. Give me 63. 28 and 63.
Come on, sir.
Go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 63.
Uh-huh.
And it shall come to pass, as the Lord rejoiced over you, to do you good, and to multiply you.
Okay, stop right there. Stop right there for a second. It says, and it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiced over you, to do you good and to multiply you. Now remember, when we study these scriptures, we know Deuteronomy 28, it'll be verse 15 to the end is all curses. So what we're reading right now in verse 63, the beginning of it, it doesn't sound like a curse, but you know, when you understand how Moses is relaying this message, you'll understand quickly what he's trying to say. Keep reading.
So the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you. And to bring you to naught. And ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it.
All right, stop right there. Now this scripture right here, because tonight we're going to get into the Native American Indians, the Gadites and the Reubenites. And this scripture right here is important because the Native Americans that were here, the Native people that were here, the Gadites that were here, the Reubenites that were here, the Taino Indians that were here, You know, all those native peoples of this land that were here first, you know, were plucked off their land, and it says, and it says, it also says that they were destroyed and they will be brought to naught. Now, when you look at the Native American Indians today, the Gadites today, most of them, you know what I'm saying, that still claim their heritage are placed on reservations. Those that are not claiming their heritage, you know what I'm saying, are walking around like the Walking Dead, you know what I'm saying, but everything that we know to be what it is to be true in America, you know what I'm saying, we can find it right here in these scriptures based on, you know, just looking at the characteristics of people. And in knowing that the Most High is only dealing with Israel, why is this important? Why is it important that we know that the Most High, you know what I'm saying, destroyed us and brought us to naught and plucked us off the land where we went to possess it? Because we're finna get into a scripture right now. Young man Charles, you got that scripture for me? 2nd Ezra that I was asking you about, 13 and 45. We're about to go into in the Apocrypha on the Native Americans being here, you know what I'm saying, before anybody. You know, so they were. Who we got? You toward one? I'm toward trying to get their class in.
Excellent.
Any questions, any comments before we get deep into it, the other one?
I just stepped in, sir. I'm listening. I'm sure that I will.
Come on. All right. Well, we're finna get on into it. But the Native Americans, they were here first. Native American, Native Central American, Native South American, you know what I'm saying? They were here first. And in being here first, they got plucked off the land based on, you know what I'm saying, what the Most High said they were not doing and keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. And we're going to get into some stuff that the Native Americans did, because the Native Americans aren't like anybody else in the 12 tribes. The Gadites, they're not like anybody else. They don't play the radio. But I need young man Charles, go ahead and read that for me in the book of 2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 45. Go ahead and read that for me.
Khan, sir. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and verse 45.
Stop right there. Stop for a second. Instead of 45, start with verse 41. Go to verse 40. Verse 40. Verse 40. Start with verse 40. Same chapter. 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 40. We're going to start with verse 40. Go ahead.
Khan, sir. The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and verse 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Osei, the king, whom Shalamaneser, the king of Assyria, led away captives, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. All right, so
let's start right there. Now we know when we think about the history of America, we know. Salakia, when we think about the history of Israel, we know that it was separated into two kingdoms, north and south, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. The southern kingdom was the house of Judah and the house of Benjamin with Levites mixed in. And then you had the other 10 tribes in the north mixed in with the Levites. So when you know that, this scripture right here begins to tell you what happened to those 10 tribes in the north when it comes to these scriptures. Because when you go into on the book of Genesis and you read about what befalls the 12 tribes, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get into that as well. When you find out what befalls the 12 tribes, you'll get a quick understanding of how everything worked out and how it works, you know, how the Most High has it working for us. Right. So let's go ahead and continue on with verse 41.
The book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, and verse 41. But they took this counsel among themselves that they would leave the multitude of the heathen. Stop right there.
It says, but they took this counsel among themselves. So they came, the 10 northern tribes, and if you know anything about Israel, you know, when it gets, you can look at yourself today, when you on your job or what have you, your boss man might say, we're going to do this, that, and the third. And in your mind, you're like, that ain't right. So you're going to come up with your other brothers that's working along with you. Y'all going to talk about it and, see if you come to an agreement with what the boss man is saying. Here, the same thing is taking place. The northern tribes, the heads of the northern tribes, they came together and took counsel among themselves saying they don't want to be here. They don't want to be with the heathen no more. Go ahead and read it.
But they took themselves counsel among themselves, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would lead the multitude of the heathen forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
So they took counsel among themselves. We talking about the 10 northern tribes. We talking about Simeon, Zabalawan, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, Reuben, Asher, Naphtali, and Issachar. That's who we talking about right now. They took counsel among themselves, and they said they were going to go to a land where, they were going a land into a further country. They're going to go where never mankind dwelt. So they're going to a place where man ain't never been before, where man doesn't live. That's in their counsel, this is what they came up with in leaving the heathen. They did not want to be around the heathen anymore. Read verse 42, because verse 42 will let you understand why they are leaving. Go ahead.
Book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Say that again.
That they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
They left that captivity and went to a land so that they can keep their statutes that they never kept in their own land. When they were in Israel, they didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments. So in their mind, they're thinking that they can go somewhere else and keep these laws, statutes, and commandments. So we're finna find out in verse 43, what happened, how they got to where they were trying to go. Go ahead, keep reading.
Verse 43, and they entered into the Euphrates by the narrow places of the river.
All right, so they entered into the Euphrates. Go to verse 44.
Verse 44, for the Most High didn't shoot signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over.
All right, now anybody that knows, let me do it this way. Let me ask a question. Let me ask it in a question. What does it mean by holding the flood still? Somebody answer that for me. What does it mean by holding the flood still? Go ahead.
Calming the water.
Calming the water. Keep going.
I said the waters were calm for them to be able to cross.
All right. Now look at that part where it says, and hail still the flood. You see where it says hail still the flood? You're right when you say calm the waters. But what is that flood? What do we call that today? When you look at a map, you will see something that say Atlantic what? Pacific what? What would that be?
Like you, sir. Ocean?
Yes, give her a hand. The ocean. Because we know from if you're looking at in the ancient times, in that particular region, if they're entering into the Euphrates, and we know that they ended up in America, that means they had to cross over not just one ocean, a couple of oceans.
Right.
It wasn't just one. When they entered that Euphrates, they had to go around the Horn of Africa, down south through the southern portion of the Indian Ocean, or what they would call the Ethiopian Ocean back then, and come back up to what we would know as the Gold Coast today, and go through the Atlantic to get into what would be in the next verse, what we're going to find out what it is. But it took all of that. It took the Most High to hold that ocean still, hold the flood still, so that the children of Israel, those 10 northern tribes, can get to where they needed to be. And where they needed to be was in a place where never mankind dwelt. What we read in verse 41. Young man Charles, go ahead and read verse 45.
Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half.
Uh-huh.
And the same region is called Ashereth.
And the same region is called Arsareth. Now, if you go onto Google Maps, this is something you can do right now, or you can go onto any map, you know, where it has a map of the world, and type in Arsareth, South America. It's going to pull up as one of the most southernest points in South America when you pull up Arsareth. You know, so, and that's where they came in at. What we know as, that would be Peru, I believe. What we know as the southern tip of Peru, that's where they came in at, Arsareth. And it's known as Arsareth today if you go and pull it up. It's still Arsareth to this day. And so we brought all that out right there so that we can get into this article right here. Because in the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, 40 through 45, it just told you that the northern 10 tribes, they left Assyrian captivity and came into a land that never mankind dwelt, and it was called Arsareth. So we know that the Native Americans were here. We know that. We also know that a group of oppressors came through and tried to do something to them as far as wiping them out, colonizing them, taking their land, this, that, and the third. We're going to get into all that tonight, because we need to find out about Brotherhood and why the Native American Indians, the Gadites and the Reubenites, you know, and all our other brothers and sisters of the 10 northern tribes, how they made it through this thing. So right now, the water, young man Charles, hold your peace right there. Pull Genesis chapter 49 and keep your finger on Genesis 49 for a moment. I'm going to read a couple of articles to you. The first one is the taking of Indian lands. All right. This is from the National Humanities Center Resource Toolbox, Becoming American, the British Atlantic Colony 1690 through 1763. It says, we have given you a great deal of fine land. That is Pukama, 1765. That's one of your Native American brothers telling the oppressor that, you know, we're giving you some good land. And that land is in North Carolina, what we know as North Carolina today. And here we go. We're going to start with the taking of Indian lands, perspectives of Native Americans and European Americans, 1707, 1765. Our media-driven image of the white man's conquest of the Indian focuses on the American West of the 1800s. And when you look at TV, that's exactly what you see. You see cowboys and Indians, but it started way before then, and this article is going to get into it. It says when Indians were forcibly moved to resource-barren reservations, many dying from battle, disease, and harsh conditions. The earlier chapters of this history, however, in the late 1600s through the 1700s, are driven by the less dramatic mechanism of land negotiations between Indians and oppressors, or colonists, so I should say. Deeds of sale incomprehensible legal language, plus white written accounts of day-long conferences, countered by complaints and petitions of redress from tribal leaders, document the loss of Indian land to the colonists tract by tract, colony by colony, heading west. And that's what happened. That's what happened. When you go back and look at the history of this land, North, Central, and Southern America, you will see how the oppressor has come in and took your land. They took the land of your brothers. They took the land of your sisters. And they started at one point, and they went all the way west with it. Westward they went. And they stole land. They stole land. You say, how is this brotherhood? We're going to get into the brotherhood because everybody didn't want to deal with that. You know what I'm saying? You got some brothers, you know, Israelite brothers that not going to hear that. You know what I'm saying? We're going to pull an article on that later, but we got to get a baseline on what happened. Why did it get to where we're going? All right? It says, as clarified by historian Stuart Banner, at most times and in most places, the Indians were not exactly conquered, but they did not exactly choose to sell their land. It says, we'll say it again. The Indians were not exactly conquered, but they did not exactly choose to sell their land. Now, if you know anything about wordplay, that sounds like some robbery was going on.
Right.
Somebody got robbed.
That's right.
That's what that sounds like. It says the truth was somewhere in the middle. Every land transfer of any form included elements of law and elements of power. And this we'll stop right there. So the Native Americans, they weren't conquered, and they didn't sell their land. So they mean they was robbed. Right. And being robbed, it'll make you do some things. It'll make you do a lot of things that you don't want, that you really don't think that, that would be something that you would want to be a part of. Because if somebody's taking your stuff and you know they didn't defeat you in battle, in your mind you're going to play it back in your head like, is this right? Is this the way to go? Is this how they doing us right now? Right. Well, that's how they did our people. They took everything. They took the land. They took the culture. They took the language. They took the heritage. They took everything, even your thought process, the way you move. Everything was taken from you by the oppressor in the early 1600s, coming into this land called America. And we can even go back further than that. I don't like to deal with 1600s. I like to deal with 70 AD. But because we're here in America, we got to deal with 1600s. We got to deal with 1692. We got 1619. We got to deal with 1492 because we're here. But if you know anything about Israel, if you know anything about the children of Israel and the law, statutes, commandments, you know that those people of the book were cast out of their land many times. They were put into bondage many times. So we have to understand this right here. In order to keep that from happening again, we got to have some type of brotherhood. We got to come together in some type of faction of brotherhood and sisterhood under the Most High's laws that he gave Moses and Christ followed and showed us how to follow and to keep. We have to come together on that. And the moment we come together on that, we can have what we need, and that is world domination. Right. And when I look at my community, my people don't want to rule the world. They just want to rule their house. But you can rule your house better if you were in total power.
That's right. That's right.
If you in total power, you can rule your house. Because right now, the black man, the Hispanic man, the Native American man, they can't rule their house. Right. You can't rule your house right now, black man. If you did, that black woman that's in the world who has no knowledge of self and no knowledge of this Bible, no knowledge of the truth, she's going to call the man on you. She's going to call the law on you. Just so she can feel a semblance of power over you. Right. Knowing that she's been seeing all her life, she's been watching all her life, how her father would tense up when the police would pull up behind him. How her grandfather would tell stories of how white men would come and rape the women of the community for fun. But yet still would want to call the police on a black man today. That's wrong. So in order to understand power, we need to understand brotherhood and to understand how we can rule our homes again. We need to understand brotherhood. Right. But in order to get there, we need to go to what happened. And people don't like to talk about it, but the Native Americans, you know what I'm saying, they didn't play the radio. They didn't play the radio at all. All they wanted to do was fight for their land that they've been on since before Christ. Remember, Christ came, and before the Assyrian he came after that Assyrian captivity. That had already happened. So the Native Americans were already gone. That's why he said, go into the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Go unto them. That's why he said that. Because the 10 tribes were already gone. So why would you go to somebody that you know where they are? You go to people that you don't know where they are. So you got to go from one point of the earth to another point of the earth, prophesying, teaching, and giving them the word so they can understand that, yes, I may be over here in this land, but my bloodline and pedigree belongs to the land of Israel, which is on the Mediterranean coast. So right now, we need to understand these North American Indians. And right now, we're going to pull up a dissertation from a oppressor. I want to say something else. Trust me now.
Right.
I'm trying to be professional.
Right.
I want to say something else. But we're gonna, because black people have a hard time believing one another.
Lucky, sir.
You always believe the oppressor first. Go ahead.
Can we call him? Can we call the oppressor bin Laden?
I mean, oppressor been lying. You know what I'm saying? From last, give him a hand. Cause he remember their name from last week. If you know Osama bin Laden, they call Osama bin Laden a terrorist. Oppressor bin Laden is the name of these Caucasian bastards that's over here. They the terrorists now. Right. So we're not concerning ourselves with Osama. We ain't worried about Hussein. We ain't worried about Abdul. We ain't worried about none of them. We worried about oppressor bin Laden. The water, young man, Charles. That's exactly what we're going to use today. Oppressor bin Laden. Because the oppressor has been lying to you forever. Since you've been here. He's been telling you that he's the Native American. He told you that he's the cowboy. He even tells you that he's the Israelite. Go ahead, sis.
I'm tribe of Gad, and a lot of our grandparents would tell us that we are all Gad, or your foreparents tell you. You know what I mean? But especially a lot of blacks, when you said about a lot of them that don't know their Gad, it is a lot of the blacks walking around as well that don't know. Because when Columbus got here, that's what he seen. He seen dark-colored Native Indians over here, or so-called Native Indians over here. And they did change the birth certificates of our foreparents from Indian to Negro. A lot of their birth certificates were changed. Just to add that on.
What you just said, sis, what you just said is so heavy because I was just reading an article earlier today. I should have saved it. And it was talking about exactly what you're saying, how the Native Americans, you know, before Columbus, you know what I'm saying, copper colored, like a penny. You got a penny in your pocket. That's what you're looking at. You're looking at a Native American when you look at that penny. That's you're looking at that. You're looking at that. And in that article, what that article was saying was that during the 1700s, when they were keeping the census, they were being registered as their tribe. You know, whatever tribe they were from, if they were Creek, if they were Muskogee, if they were from the tribes in North Carolina, if they were the tribes of Virginia, all the way up to North Carolina, each tribe was individually named in those census. And when it came into the 1800s, they started grouping everybody into the same category that had that copper-colored skin. They started calling us Negroes, which in turn turned to nigger. You know what I'm saying? So what you're saying, sister, is correct. Because the oppressor is so much of a devil, he had to take away that which is you, your heritage, your culture, in order for him to thrive in this land. Because if he didn't, we would not be able to thrive. Well, he would not be able to thrive in this land because he would have to deal with, you know what I'm saying, somebody walking down the street named Bear Paw, slap your face off. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Something with a meaning behind it, not just these European English sounding names, but something with a meaning behind it, like Two Rocks or Two Feathers, or Lone Wolf, or what? Name some of them great chiefs. Name a great chief. Anybody know some great chiefs of America, of Native American pedigree?
So Lockett.
Go ahead.
You had what is it? Chief Lightfoot. I don't know where that name would come from. Let me see. You had Geronimo.
Right.
You had, I'm trying to think if there's a particular one that was on the nickel. Lock you, sir.
Go ahead.
You also had Sitting Bull.
You said sitting wolf or sitting bull, or are you talking about both of them? Sitting Bull. All right. Now, when we're all righty, and y'all forgot a good one here now. Y'all forgot a good one, a great one. Think about it. Think about it. We in the land of America.
Oh, Salaki.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, Salaki.
Go ahead. All right, the question was, we were asking who would name some great chiefs in America. Say again?
Redskin?
I didn't hear you. You got to speak up on that one. I hear you a little bit better.
Okay. Redskin?
Redskin is a derogatory term that the oppressor used to describe our people. But there's there is one name, Chief Two Feathers. You got Chief Eagle Eye. You got a lot of different chiefs out here, you know, that have come and fought against this oppressor. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into it. Go ahead. We're gonna get into it. All right, here we go. Patrolling the border. Wait a minute. That title says patrolling the border. Aren't they patrolling the border right now? They got the little Israelite babies in the cages on the border still. They still doing that, right? Somebody talk to me. They still doing that?
Sir.
This article right here is talking about patrolling the border. Theft and violence on the Creek, Georgia frontier, 1770 to 1796. Now, what I'm about to read to you is Georgia history. I'm finna read to you right now Georgia history. Where the state we're in right now, this oppressive state we're in right now. Finna read a little history of it. And it starts off this way. Theft and Violence on the Creek, Georgia Frontier by Joshua Span Haynes under the direction of Claudio Sant. This is an abstract. At a critical moment in the late 18th century, Muskogee Creek Indians faced the prospect of dispensing with their indigenous form of government based on the political autonomy of each Creek town. What they're saying is that the Gadites, the Creek Indians that were in Georgia, they had their own type of government, and each little town or each set of Creek Indians, they had their own laws. They had their own way of doing things, but it was pretty much the same. But it was their own way of doing it. That's what they're saying. We're gonna keep going. It says ultimately they chose to retain their indigenous government in an altered form. Georgia continually encroached on Creek borders, forcing Muskogees into a conversation about the nature of political leadership that hinged on what kind of government could best protect Muskogee liberty, territory, and sovereignty. Some favored a powerful central government, but most preferred the autonomy of every Creek town or tawa. Under assault from multiple quarters, Creeks experimented with state-like political solutions such as the diplomacy of elite headmen and skilled figurehead executives. So what they're saying is, you know how your town is set up today with mayors and councilmen, and your county has commissioners, and you got a board of education, all those different things. The Creek Indians began to adopt those type practices into their culture. That's what they're saying right now. All right, so we're gonna go on. It says, most importantly, Creek warriors launched over 1,000 raids along their contested borders. Actions understood as robust border patrol. So, America has a border patrol right now, and it's keeping out our northern tribe. The rest of the northern tribes of Israel is keeping them out of the country on that southern border, that southern Mexican border. That is the oppressors. The oppressor bin Laden, that's his border patrol.
Right.
The Native Americans had their own border patrol. And I'll read it again. It said the Creek warriors launched over 1,000 raids along their contested borders. Actions best understood as robust border patrol. So the Native Americans were already patrolling their borders. They were trying to keep the oppressor bin Laden people out. They've been trying to keep the Caucasian man out of their lands because they've been stealing and stealing and stealing and stealing. So the Native Americans said, we're going to go to war with you. Since you want to play like that, we're going to go to war with you. Young man Charles, you got Genesis chapter 49?
Lucky, sir. If I may, can I bring something out real quick?
Go right ahead.
So, have you ever heard of the term a $5 Indian?
Come on.
So, back in the day, what they were doing was, I got a little piece of an article. Can I read it real quick? I'll make it short.
Hold your peace for a moment. Also, the costume, you a kid that family? Go ahead now. What you're saying?
I want to just bring out this quick little article real quick that talks about how the oppressor been lying back in the day was trying to take the Indian heritage by going to the government and paying $5 to get the benefits from the Native Americans.
Read a little bit. Oh, before you read it, I just want to let y'all know that's on the line that you got a Gadite in the classroom right now. His name also Nakashwan.
Right. And
he looked like he want to go to war. I'm just saying, he looked like he want to go to war. He looked like he want to pull the scalp back. I'm just saying. But go ahead there, young man, Charles.
It says the Dow's Rose number and the legacy of $5 Indians. It says it may be fashionable to play Indian now, but it was also trendy 125 years ago when people paid $5 a piece for falsified documents declaring them Native Americans on the Dow's Rose number. These also so-called $5 Indians paid government agents under the table in order to reap the benefits that came with having Indian blood. Mainly white men with an appetite for land, $5 Indians paid to register on the Dow's Rolls, earning fraudulent enrollment in tribes along with benefits inherited by generations to come. That's all I got for life.
Now, what you just read is what we were talking about, you know what I'm saying, how the oppressor been lying, how he has, he basically lied then. He lied and said that he was a Native American, you know what I'm saying, and going into those offices and paying out, bribery is a jailable offense. It's punishable by jail time in America. So these so-called $5 Indians were breaking the law. Even then, you could not bribe government officials, but they were breaking the law because they wanted what the Native Americans had, and that was the land. They wanted a piece of the pie that they already had stolen. Imagine this. I like sweet potato pie, so we're going to use sweet potato pie for an example. Imagine, you know what I'm saying, I done stole a whole sweet potato pie, and I ate a little bit of it. And then I did leave you a sweet potato pie that you can have for yourself. You had two of them. I stole one of them, ate some of it, and you still got your pie. That's me going back. What the $5 Indian did is the same as what I'm finna tell you. Me going to take your pie that you got. I left you with the pie after I already stole the pie from you. I left you with one. Right. And now I'm coming to get that pie too. Right. That's what the $5 Indians did. They had so much hatred in their heart toward their. When you read these scriptures, it says because of your hatred of your brother Jacob. Esau now, you was talking to Esau. These things gonna happen to you. So in Obadiah, it prophesies of what's gonna happen to Esau. We ain't gonna get in it tonight. We're gonna deal with what the Gadites did. You know what I'm saying? But the $5 Indians, they are thieves, just like everybody else. That's right. They're thieves. And coming to a town near you, another thief is coming to a town near you, and that's the Afghanistan refugees, the Afghani people. They're coming to your town. They finna rob you too. Right. Just like the oppressor that's been lying to you, been robbing you. This man's gonna rob you too. Pull Genesis chapter 49 and verse 19 for me, Baba Kashar, young man, Charles. Go ahead.
Genesis chapter 49 and verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last.
Now, it says Gad, a troop shall overcome him. Now, that troop that overcame Gad is called the United States Cavalry. And it started out as a militia when they first got here to the Americas. You know what I'm saying? The colonists had to set up some form of protection from those who they would call, rebel Indian forces. They had to set up, a militia to protect them. and that militia became a army, and that army became the what we know today as, what America knows today as, the greatest military force ever. But they became that great military force by trying to conquer the Native Americans, who they never did conquer. Remember, we just read an article that said they never were conquered. The Native Americans were never conquered. So if they were never conquered, that means they had some brotherhood in them. And being a brother to your brother will keep you from being conquered, because you're going to fight with your brother to keep that which is yours. And they tried for a long time to keep it, to the point of they got billions of dollars in Washington, D.C., if I'm not mistaken, Officer Nakashawan. The Native Americans got billions of dollars in Washington, D.C. right now, dating back to the 1700s, that they won't touch for the land that America is trying to buy from them, so-called buy from them. But the Native Americans won't take it. They say, nah, we don't want the money, we want the land. We want our land back. And that's brotherly. They want your land back, because once you get the land back, what you can do? You can allow who to stay that you would like, and you can kick out who you want to kick out, because it's your land. Just like at your house. You don't invite any and everybody to your house. You invite those people that you want to visit you to your house. You don't invite nobody that's out to harm you to your house. You don't go outside, well, let me see if I can find the neighborhood robber and invite him in my house. You don't do that. Yeah. You ain't going outside, let me find the neighborhood murderer and invite him to my house. You don't do that. That's not what we do. We don't do that. But here in America, the people will have you to believe, the government will have you to believe that it's okay to do that. Go ahead, Officer Nakashawan.
It's $1.3 billion.
$1.3 billion over how many years?
I think it's over 6, but I'll look it up though. When you see the oppressor trying to give to you, you need to be taking cautious, because him giving to you is really him taking from you. That's right. How can he give you something that already belongs to you? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. So if all this belongs to the Most High and we are His chosen people, how you gonna give me something that already belongs to me? Just go home where you belong and let me have what I got. Right. You know what I'm saying? But that's just the people. Go ahead.
What you bring it out is so heavy, and I believe a part of what you're talking about, one of those treaties that was broken, it was a treaty where they had already, when the oppressor came over here, they tried to divide up some of the land, and of course, Dad was trying to appease them with that, but in that there were certain parts of land that they didn't want the oppressors to have. So what happened was they found oil on one of these parts of land, but that part that they found that oil on was still a part of the land that they said in the treaty that they couldn't have. Right. It still belonged to our native Indian brothers. So they broke that treaty. I believe that was in 1868. And what happened was, and they're still fighting over that to this day. So you're talking about the $1 billion. Basically, what happened was they went and they said, well, here, let us go ahead and give you this portion of money for that land. But the land was never for sale. So now to this point, because what they want to give them then was pennies. Now that land being worth billions, because of course it has oil on it, that's what they're still fighting about today. And a lot of people don't know that to this day they're still fighting about that same land that was broken in that treaty, and I believe it was in 1868 with the Plains Indians.
What you just said is a true statement. And when you look at the oppressor, he's gonna do everything he can to trick you. That the devil is. Somebody look up the word devil. Look up the word devil and tell me what it means. Because the oppressor is a devil, that he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Right. But at the same time, you got to understand this devil. This devil here will have you, to sign documents. He'll have you to do this, that, and the third, and in doing it, you find yourself in a place where you really don't want to be. You find yourself, holding the bag, so to speak. And the bag is empty because you done pretty much gave up all that you knew for the little trinkets that he was going to give you. You know what I'm saying? Think about it this way. How many of y'all on the conference call in the classroom know what sits on top of the Capitol building of Georgia? What sits on top of it?
A lot.
Go ahead.
That's the Capitol building. Are we talking about the one with the gold?
The one with the gold on it, exactly. The Capitol building. Do you know where that gold came from?
I can't remember off the top of my head.
I can tell you where it came from because I'm from Georgia, and I hate that bastard, that Peckerwood bastard. The gold came from the mountains of Dahlonega. The mountains of North Georgia mountains in a little town called Dahlonega. That's where that gold came from. And the Cherokee Indians from Walker County all the way up into North Carolina, that's their mountain. The gold that was in that mountain belonged to the Cherokee Indians of the South. They took that gold and fashioned it so they could put it on top of that Capitol building. So every time you ride by, what you see? You see the gold of your ancestors. You see it. Go ahead.
You actually have a few cities that have those gold domes on the top. So was that the same gold taken from there used in other cities?
Sis, what you just asked me is a heavy question, and this is what I'm going to tell you about that. Not all the gold that are on top of most Capitol buildings in the state, in the United States, are not from the hills of Georgia. They are from the foothills of Georgia and the mountains of the Carolinas. They are from the area in which they are planted. Meaning, let's say wherever capital city has gold on its dome, they stole that gold from the grounds of the native people that were in that land. That's documented fact across the country. All the gold was stolen from Native Americans. And it was placed in a place where we know so dearly to be in Kentucky. It's called, I think it's Kentucky, it might be Tennessee, Fort Knox. They stored all the Native Americans' gold in Fort Knox. But some say, legend has it, you know how the oppressors say, legend has it, that all the gold has been moved from Fort Knox into another location. So all the gold that was taken from the foothills, from the mountains, from the caves of North America that belong to the Native Americans are either in England or they are either in Rome right now. The ones you see, like, for example, like in Georgia and the other cities, and in Atlanta and the other cities that have these gold domes, yes, they came from the area in which where those cities were raised. So wherever you see a Capitol building with a gold dome, just know 50 to 100 miles away is where they took that gold from. And a majority of that gold throughout the South that was taken from those Appalachian Mountains and from along the coastline of the Mississippi River. So when you look at it, you got to understand how terrible and how devious of a beast this devil is, this oppressor is. He goes and take until he can't take no more. And then he going to take some more. I don't understand how you can take nothing, but he takes nothing from the homeless every day. And that's why the homeless are in the position they're in. Think about it. You got that gold on top of that building. How much do you think it's worth? Bro, y'all got Google machines on your phone? Look it up. Estimated worth of the gold dome on the Georgia Capitol. Just look it up right quick. Somebody tell me. Just look it up. Now, we know that the oppressor been robbing you since been robbing you. You know, the daddy named oppressor been lying. The son named oppressor been robbing. The nephew named oppressor been raping. The cousin named oppressor been murdering. So the oppressor have been doing a lot of rape, rob, murder. And in his rape, rob, and murder, you know what I'm saying, and lying, he has amassed over trillions of dollars in precious metals, just in the lower 48. Trillions of dollars in precious metals has he taken, because he's just a greedy bastard. Go ahead.
Hey, Salaki, it's Salam Christ to your room checking in.
Go ahead.
I hear you teaching a heavy class. Goddamn right. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to check in.
Oh, Mohai Cry, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatah, man. Hey, look, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you like this. All the ones just like this right here. The oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. First off, and the constant one is sitting behind. He's sitting in front of the greatest man. You know what I'm saying, that Israel has to offer right now. And that's Commander General Yahanna. That's right. Commander General Yahanna is the one that taught the generals below him, the captains, and the officers. I learned from y'all. I'm only doing what y'all did. I'm only doing what y'all do. You know, I'm only being like the men above me. That's right. The men that train me. I'm just bringing out the information that y'all would have me to bring out. Go ahead.
Damn right. So I get to that point about the gold. They didn't only just rob, the Gadites.
Go ahead.
They also robbed the Levites. They got all the Levites' gold on reserve. And it's in the reserve. They got all the Levites' gold, and they talking about the Levites as poor. No, they were just robbed.
You want to know who else they say is poor? They say the Venezuelans are poor. They say the Venezuelans are poor, but the Venezuelans is the reason in the in the late 90s and the early 2000s that that when those oil crisis was happening, that you didn't really see the effect at the pump, because they have their foot in the oil field in Venezuela. They have money in reserve in Venezuela, but the governments of the world won't pay the Venezuelans. They won't pay the Haitians. They won't pay the Native Americans. They won't pay the Judites. They won't do it. Why? Because if they paid us, what's going to happen? We take over. Right. We can already take over now. Only thing we have to do right now, we're going to get back in the topic, but I'm glad you brought that out there, Officer Yaron. The reason we are in the position we're in right now is because we refuse to come together. The moment we come together economically and pool our resources together and say, oh, black man, Hispanic man, Native American man, don't shop at Walmart, Target, Macy's, don't shop at no big box store. Right. All right, when you do your shopping, everybody shops at the same store. Everybody shops at the same gas station. Everybody shops at the same grocery store. Everybody else we putting out of business. We putting them out of business. When you put everybody out of business and start dealing with your brothers, you start your own economy. You start your own nation, because nations are built off people and economy. You can't have the people, you can't have the economy without the people. Right. And the economy is what makes the people move forward into the future. Why do you think America's in that space race with Russia and China? Because they have the economy to do it. They have the people, and they have the economy. Now, just imagine if the dollar bill that was in the black community there, or the Bolivar that's in the Colombian community, or whatever other dollar currency value that's out there that our people use, just imagine not spending that peso with the oppressor, and you going to a Judite barbershop to get your hair cut, it's right, brother. Let's say my Levite, you going, instead of going, to McDonald's, you're going down the street and get you some curry chicken from your Benjamite brother. Right. You know what I'm saying? We have ways to set this thing down, but because our people, we as a people, we love America, and we love everything America got to offer. You hear Christians in the world say, why I got to leave the church? Why I got to leave America? You ain't got to leave nothing. But if you want to live the way the Most High would want you to live, you should get your mind and your thoughts off of what America has you and wants you to do, and do what the Most High wants you to do. The Most High wants you to come together. Somebody pull that for me. Zechariah. Go to Zechariah and pull that for me. Gather yourself together, O nation not desired. Pull that for me right quick. And then we're going to get back into this article. Because what's so heavy about what's going on today, it all could have been prevented. What's going on with the Native Americans could have been prevented. What's going on with the Haitians could have been prevented. The Venezuelans could have been prevented. Everything that's going on with the 12 tribes of Israel could have been prevented if we had come together. Somebody got my scripture? Okay. Go ahead, Ottawa.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
If we come together, because we know everybody on planet Earth hates you. Right. They hate. Look, I'm going to tell you how much they hate you. What that girl name? Osaka? The tennis player. Yeah. Let me tell you how much they hate you, Negro. That ain't what I want to call you. Remember now, that's not what I want to say. I'm from the country. I want to call you something else.
Right.
I want to call you, you know what I want to say, with the hard R. I want to say with the hard R. You know what I'm talking about? But they did Osaka wrong. She's supposed to be Haitian and Japanese. You know what I'm saying? She goes to the Olympics and the Japanese people, you know, the government of Japan want her face to be, you know, out there because she's Japanese. And then there's some Japanese like, she's not full-blooded Japanese. And who gives a shit?
Right.
She brought fame to your country the same way with Tiger Woods. They did Tiger Woods the same way. They doing it all the same way. They'll use you and use you and use you, but they'll put somebody else up front. Think about it. Think about it now. Look, I know for myself, I grew up in the 1980s and 1990s. There's this dude named Barry Bonds.
Right.
Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player to ever do it. I seen that with my own eyes. I seen it. But throughout the 90s, it wasn't Barry Bonds' face that you would see. You would see John Smoltz, Tom Glavine, Dale Murphy. These are oppressors.
Right.
And they are nowhere near as good as Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds got all the gold gloves, you know what I'm saying, multiple MVPs, and he's the batting champ, home run champ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They say he cheated, but they ain't never catch him cheating. But in his greatness, they looked over him and put oppressors up there. Now, how would that make you feel? You know you the greatest, but they put oppressors ahead of you. That should make you feel a certain type of way, Israel. That your brother is out here shining, but they put some. I'll give you another example. A lot of y'all don't realize that, what's that boy from the Seattle Seahawks that won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, the quarterback? Not Richard Sherman, what the quarterback name is? Russell Wilson, married to Sierra, bless his little heart. You know, everybody want to tell you Russell Williams, he's the first black quarterback to win. No hell. It's a dude named Doug Williams that played for the Washington Redskins, a team named after Native Americans. So they were always, and during that time, it was not, even though that man won, you would not have known Doug Williams won the Super Bowl unless they told you. Because if you had looked at the television that following season, it was all about that boy, what his name is, for the Dallas Cowboys, his name, the quarterback, Troy Aikman. It was all about Troy Aikman, Steve Young. That's who it was about. But Doug Williams didn't won the Super Bowl. But you didn't hear no mention of that until 20, 30 years down the road. Come on, man. Come on. For real, that's how we doing that? The Most High will kill you, oppressor. Because you keep looking over his people. Somebody say Salakia?
That was myself, Officer Castellan. What you bring it out is so heavy because when you look at Doug Williams, you know, I was around in that time too, 70s baby, and I'm gonna tell you, he didn't just win the Super Bowl. They beat the brakes off them boys in the Super Bowl. He was excellent in the Super Bowl, and they didn't want to put him on it. They didn't want to say nothing. They were holding the stack of the quarterback. I wouldn't even say his name, but Doug Williams put a clinic on them boys, and they didn't give him any type of credit.
And that's their motive. They'll let you do whatever the hell you want to do. They'll let you. I'm talking about. Look, I'll give you another example. A recent example. Y'all gonna say how you die, you're wrong, but I know I'm right, and you can be mad at me all you want to. I don't care. It's a dude named LeBron James. LeBron. Everybody know LeBron. LeBron, a couple of years ago, won the championship with the Lakers, meaning he won it with 3 different teams. You don't hear nothing about that. You don't hear nothing about that. But you do hear about Steve Kerr, the coach of another team down the road from him, up the road from him in Oakland. You're going to hear about him. You're going to hear about Steve Nash. You're going to hear about that. Only reason you hear about LeBron is because he's so polarizing. That's it. But if he was just a normal working black man like myself, you wouldn't hear about LeBron. You wouldn't care. He'd just be another 6'8". You know what I'm talking about. I can't say it how I want to say it because, you know, I was talking young back there. I can't say it how I want to say it. But he'll just be a 6'8" Negro walking around. But because he got little dollars in front of him, he can dunk a basketball, did that in the third. He still didn't get the props that he's deserved because every coach except for one were oppressors that he won under. and they'll give them credit over the man. You see this man's greatness, but they'll give others the credit. Same thing with the Native Americans. You see their greatness. Even in the world wars, the Native Americans were used as what we would call signal carriers. They would take a message from one place to another and give it to the generals or the colonels or whoever they had to give that message to. And the reason they did that is because the enemies did not understand Navajo. They didn't understand that language, so they're sending messages through using the Navajo language. But you don't hear much about that, though. You don't hear much about that. Only reason you know about the Red Tails is because Hollywood did a big feature about them. But you wouldn't know nothing about the Red Tails. Only thing that we know is what the oppressor tell us. And articles like this right here are things that we need to know because we can understand better this condition that we're in. And we done veered off the topic for a little while. We got to get back on topic because I want to hear about Native Americans killing people. You know, anybody that know me, they know I love warfare. The Most High is a man of war. The Most High is his name. I'm with him. I came with that dude. So we're going to get back into this article about the Creek Indians of Georgia. All right, this is the heading of this particular chapter that we is a paucity of violence, Georgia's narrative of the Muskogee threat, and the 1786 Treaty of Shoulderbone Creek, the turning point. Now, could I get one of my brothers online? I need y'all to do me a favor because I don't see him. I haven't heard his voice. I need somebody to get Trooper Gashawn on the line with me right now. Somebody get Trooper Gashawn on the line. Send him a text message saying, call in the class. He need to be in class right now because we're talking about something that he knows a little bit about. Need him on the line. Somebody do that for me. I'm going to read a little bit of this article for you.
I got you.
All right, the water.
SHALAM.
Oh, there you go. Y'all about to see y'all shot What's going on, warrior?
Yeah, about to see
I need you to, hey, look, I need you to tell me something, man. I need you to tell me something. I need some help. Because me and you from the same area. And before I read this article, I need you to give a brief synopsis, if you could, if you don't mind, about the Creek Indians down there where we from out the Oconee River. Baba Kashaf.
That's today's topic.
Yeah, today's topic is about brotherhood and brotherhood being a weapon. That's the topic. Brotherhood is a weapon. And the brotherhood we're talking about are the Creek Indians. So my question, I'm asking you to share some of that knowledge that you have of the Creek Indians. And I'm going to give you about 2 minutes just to go. You know, just to tell it. You got about 2 minutes. I'm sitting here watching the clock. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes because they're not going to believe me because they're like, man, you from down there. All right, yeah, I know I'm from down there. You just talking. Yeah, I ain't just talking because somebody else know the same history that I'm finna tell you about right now. And his name is Trooper Gashawn. Trooper Gashawn, go ahead. Tell me about the Creek Indians from down there where you at.
I mean, we were listed as a very special people around here in our area. That this county now, which used to be part of Wilkes County, because Wilkes County was a county of, I want to say probably about 18 different what we would know to be counties to this day. It just different, more borders were added, more people, more oppressors and stuff bought land, and they kind of divided it up. But Georgia really started off as really 3 counties, named by 3 other men, 3 other heathens. But we were a very spiritual people, a very powerful people, and you know when right before the Trail of Tears really started right down there in our area, and they were you had some people decide to stay back and fight. Back then we were known for protecting our people. We attacked, we went to war, because we believed in warfare. We believed the nation. We didn't believe what the Christians today believe in. The modern day Christians today believe that Russia can have a military, China can have a military, Africans can have a military. The white man over here can have a military. I mean, our oppressor over here can have a military. Israel can't have a military, but we can join the oppressor's military. You know, that's the mentality that's today. Back then, we had warriors, real militant Creeks, real militant natives, and a lot of them decided to stay back to fight. It was all about reducing numbers. You know, protecting your people, reducing numbers. The people that decided to stay back and live, a lot of them knew that they were going to go into slavery, and a lot of them just stayed back to fight to the death. It was just that was the narrative. No one got really captured. In articles articles that were driven that was written by artists that drew historical paintings and stuff like that, and they would note that, you know, that we fought so hard that we had to end up turning ourselves in because they were destroying so much land and so many people and stuff like that.
The water, Gashawn. Hold on, Gashawn, because you finna go into my article. I need you to stop right there, because I hear you. You about to go into it. And I'm finna bring this article out. And Trooper Mama Saw, I see you. I see you online now. Don't think I don't see you. He named out 2 chiefs, Crazy Horse and Red Cloud. Red Cloud was the truth. Red Cloud was the truth. We'll do a whole nother class simply about Red Cloud and Crazy Horse, because in order to understand Brotherhood, you need to understand them brothers right there. But we're gonna get into this article. Thank you, Trooper Gashawn. Appreciate that. A portion of that article we were reading, it says this right here. Despite Georgia's depiction of Muskogee border patrols. Remember now, we were reading about the Creek Indians had their own border patrol, and they were going to war with any and everything that was crossing into their lands. All right? It said Creeks did not commit substantial bloodshed in 1786 through raiding, though raiding did increase. In the 2 years between November 1783, Treaty of Augusta, and the November 1785 Treaty of Galphinton, Georgians reported 49 Creek raids. Yet 32 raids occurred in a single year of 1786. Now let me stop that for a second. Imagine you standing outside at your house. You at your house, wherever you stay in America. It don't matter where you stay in America. And you hear the war drums getting beat. And you hear Native Americans just screaming out. And you see the smoke in the distance. They done burnt somebody's city again. They done went to war with somebody again. It says 49 raids and 32 of them occurred in 1 year. That's Brotherhood. That's the Creek Indians coming together and saying, look, the only way we're going to stay back this trouble, only way we're going to stay this oppressor is what? We got to come together and fight. Young man Charles, you still got that scripture, Genesis 49 and 19? Read that again. Read that again. Read that again, because y'all need to know about your brother. Go ahead.
It was Genesis 40, Salaki. It was Genesis 49 and what, sir?
19.
The book of Genesis, chapter 49, verse 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last.
Gad been fighting. He wins some, he lose some. Right now, we done took a law. You know what I'm saying? Our brothers done took a law. You know what I'm saying? But the scriptures say, but he shall overcome at the last. So when the oppressor got here, you know what I'm saying, on the shores of Virginia and made his way down south to the GA, you know what I'm saying, to the great state, whatever called Georgia, you know what I'm talking about? The Native American, you know what I'm saying, has seen a lot of death. You know what I'm saying? The oppressor brought a lot of death. Think about how many ways did the oppressor kill Native Americans? Start naming them. Y'all start naming them one at a time. How many ways? Give me a way that each person one thing that they did. How did they kill Native Americans? Go ahead, Sister Santiba.
One was through smallpox with the blanket.
All right, so we're going to say chemical warfare, biological warfare. All right, somebody give me another one. Go ahead.
Sir.
Go ahead.
I would say they killed off the food source.
There you go. Oh, my gosh. You said that. Hold on. Trooper Azariah. Hold on a minute, Trooper Azariah. That young man, give him a hand. They killed out the food source. Doggone it. Let me tell you about how they killed. Trooper Concern, you still on that phone? You still out here with me?
All
right. Look, you know, tell me this right here. How far did the buffalo roam? Now, we know that it's a university in Colorado called University of Colorado, and their mascot is the bison, the buffalo. From Colorado, how far did the buffalo roam, literally? Where did they go?
Greene County, Georgia.
What's the name of the place that they went in Greene County, Georgia?
In several spots.
Name me the one prominent, the prominent one.
Union Point.
And
they call all three moves the Buffalo Lick.
The Buffalo Lick. The Buffalo Lick. Now, the oppressor would have you to believe that you will only find buffalo out in the West. But when you go and trace migration patterns of the buffalo and the Native Americans, not only did the Native Americans and the buffalo go from the west to the south, they went from the south to the west. The buffalo were right here in Georgia. That's hard to believe for some of y'all. How many of y'all believe that can believe that buffalo were in Georgia? Because you don't see no buffalo now. How many in your mind? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, that's why Ted Turner, if you like, a lot of Ted Turner restaurants in Atlanta, he has the buffalo or the bison. A lot of, like I said, a lot of blacks who don't know they're Native Indians, that was one of the staple foods. But Ted Turner still served that in his restaurants today in the city of Atlanta.
Exactly. And look, that is a slap in the face to you, black man, who does not know his identity, who could possibly be a Gadite. You know, they slap you in your face all the time. They say the Atlanta Braves. They say the Cleveland Indians, the Washington Redskins. You know, they slap you in your face all the time with this. They put it in your face. Where do you hide something that you don't want nobody to see? You hide it in plain sight. Plain sight. Plain sight. But we're so blinded to the fact of what's going on that we don't even see what's in front of us. True Bazaar, y'all, I know you've been patiently waiting. Go ahead and let me hear what you got.
I don't count, sir. Another method they used was forced abortions.
Forced abortion.
By way of, if I may, by way of ripping the babies out of a pregnant woman's stomachs and smashing my little ones upon the rocks.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. He said forced abortions. Who else? What else we got? Somebody else tell me something. What did they do? How did they kill my people? How did they kill my brothers? Because the same way they killed my brother, Christ's going to do them real bad. A different way. Come on, somebody tell me. Go ahead.
They impale what we see on those Transylvania movies and stuff like that. They really impale our Native American men and women with sharpened posts, stick them in the ground, and really stick those posts up their rear to come out their throats. They did the men and women like that.
Man, ain't that a shame? Ain't that a shame? You got to be some kind of evil to do that. To fashion a pole into the form of a stake and whole body put somebody on there like they on the rotisserie. You know what I'm saying? How? Come on now, y'all come on with it. Now tell me how they were killing Native Americans. Go ahead, Sister Santiva. Hold on, Sister Santiva. I want to ask you, can I say something to you for a second? I feel your pain. I hear it in your voice. You know what I'm saying? My big mama was a Native American. So I can feel your pain. I know what you're going through. I can feel it in you. I feel it in you. Look, what I wear on me sometimes is because of my big mama. It's because of my mama. My mama full-blooded Native American. My big mama full-blooded Native American. My dad a Negro. Now, I don't know how that worked, but it worked. It worked out. It made me. You know what I'm saying? So I can understand where you were going and how pissed off you are about how they did your people. I understand that. I truly understand it because I love my brothers. I love my sisters. And I want nothing to happen to them. See, this oppressor, he done did it. He done went there. But what he failed to realize is that the 12 tribes of Israel, we have someone that is going to return and pay recompense to these pale-faced bastards that did all this to our ancestors. Go ahead, Sister Santiva.
Oh, I was going to say, thank you for that, but because I have a very strong energy, but I was going to say through alcohol as well. Alcoholism, they gave them the alcohol.
That's right.
A lot of alcoholics.
That's right, Sister Antigua. They turned a lot of Gadites into alcoholics, and Gadites today, when you go to the reservations, they will tell you their number one issue is alcoholism. To the point of reservations are what we would consider a dry town or a dry county in the lower 48s. The reservation won't even allow alcohol in certain places because of what the alcohol has done to our brothers and sisters, especially our brothers. Online, young man Erskine said, I don't even know how I forgot the Chicago Blackhawks. You're correct. And he also said that they would raid villages at night while our Gadite brothers and sisters was asleep. That is true as well. Any more? I know y'all got some more of how they used to do our people.
Yes, sir. Hey,
Come on, True Bazar, y'all. Hold your peace, Gashawn. Go ahead, True Bazar, y'all.
I don't concept the water, if I may. Also by ways of crushing our spirit. You know what I mean? Like, we had that Covington High School incident a while back. This Gadite brother was dancing for the Edomites. You know what I mean? He was dancing for them and all that. He lost his way. He trying to get some money. And because of they crush our spirit so bad, the suicide rate is the highest amongst all of our brothers. You know what I mean? So the devil's a professor, the devil, the Bible speaks of. So
damn right. I hope y'all understood what he said. Broken spirit. Broken spirit. I hope you can comprehend that. When you're broken, you're going to do anything and everything to satisfy your oppressor or the person that has broken you. You're going to do anything and everything because you want to please that person. You want to please that person that did that to you. You know what I'm saying? Because you've been broken. They broke your spirits. You want to please them. You don't want to please your power. You want to please the one that broke you. That's heavy, True Bazar, y'all. That's heavy. Go ahead, True Gashawn.
Lock you, sir. It was young man Charles.
I'm sorry, young man Charles. Go ahead.
They killed our Gadites, brothers and sisters with Christianity and religion.
Give that man a hand. I was waiting on it. I wasn't going to go nowhere till somebody said it. They killed our people through Christianity. I can end the class on that right there, but I ain't, because I hate the oppressor. And we got to go in on him. But they use Christianity to kill our people. From America to Mexico, Panama, Cuba, Guatemala, Haiti, Jamaica, all points in between, from Anchorage, Alaska to Arcerith, South America. You have been killed by Christianity.
That's right.
And that, oh my gosh, we can do a whole class on the death of our brothers and sisters through Christianity. You know what I'm saying? And not just Christianity though. Not just Christianity. I'm gonna give you one more and we're gonna move on. They killed our people by pushing their culture on us. Their culture is death. So we deal in death every day. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we deal in death every day. The oppressor's culture is a death culture. And what do I mean by that? The oppressor goes out and kills people on a daily basis to the point of dropping bombs on whole countries. We take on that spirit of the oppressor's killing season by doing what? Going into our neighborhoods and pulling out the 9mm and going pop, 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 goes my 9.
Right.
That's what we do. Or we kill our brothers and sisters by child molestation, rape. You know what I'm saying? That's another form of death. So the oppressor has been killing us for a long time, and the Creek Indians realized that before the oppressor even set his foot on the ground strong enough to what we see today. He already realized that there's something strange about this character right here. So he had to do something about it. He set up border patrols. And you know, I wouldn't be surprised if the so-called oppressor, the so-called whatever that name is, Edomite, Idumea, you know what I'm saying? I like to call him pale-faced, fork-tongued bastard, like my ancestor, you know what I'm saying? It just rolls off the tongue because that's what they are. They pale in the face, they tongue speak two ways, right, and they a devil. Right. They deceive the hell out you every day. Erskine said down, Salaki, young man, I mean Trooper Mawasa. I ain't mean to call you that crazy name no more. But also, Trooper Mawasa said they also put the Native Americans in slavery, which is true. And think about this. He that leadeth into captivity must go into captivity. Somebody pull that scripture for me. Because that's what happened. You know, pull that scripture for me. We're going to read a little bit more of this article because we're getting a little short on time here. It says, as in previous years, the raids in 1786 focused geographically on the Oconee River Valley and usually resulted in horse theft. Now, if anybody knows about the Oconee River Valley, I can tell you about it right now. It starts up near Franklin County. The Oconee River Valley, it starts in Franklin County, and it goes all the way down to Camden County, which is on the coastline of the Atlantic Ocean. So think about it this way. How many of y'all know where Franklin County, Georgia is today? It's just north of Gwinnett County. Just north of Gwinnett County. So it'll be Franklin County, Gwinnett County, portions of DeKalb County where we are right now, all the way south to Chatham, Liberty, Glenn, and Camden counties of Georgia. That's the Oconee River Valley. Now, if you know Georgia history, there's a whole bunch of counties in Georgia, and most of them are filled with creeks and rivers. That's why the people are known as Creek Indians, because they would set up their towns along the creeks, along the major points of the creek. We're going to keep on reading in this article. It says, let me get back to it. It says, in 8 violent raids, Creeks killed 6 to 9 white Georgians, though 2 were in retaliation for unprovoked killings of Creeks. Let me read that again. Creeks killed 6 to 9 white Georgians, though 2 were in retaliation for unprovoked killings of Creeks. See, the Creek Indians really played the rules. They played by the rules of engagement. You know, Christians in the world say, I'm a New Testament believer. I believe in Christ. Evidently, the Native Americans did too, because they said an eye for an eye. That's in the New Testament. Just so you know. The Creek Indians weren't playing. They're going to see about their brothers. What's wrong with the Judites going to see about your brother? Judite, go ahead.
Hey, Chip, Sean.
Go ahead.
I just all this such a heavy topic what we talking about. I don't think nobody talk about it much as me and you. But if you need some backup for it, you know, need some articles about why did we do what we did, or like what were actually being taught with the churches and stuff like that. I got several articles, you know, if you want to.
I know you do.
Bring in
I know you do. But see, I ain't got but like 35 more minutes. I mean, I take it back. I got 24 more minutes. And I know what you got to bring out. I'm telling you, it's right here. I got it right here. I'm going to bring out a little bit of it right now. And we'll come back to this in future classes. But this is just the baseline, because if anybody know me, I love warfare. I love talking about warfare, especially when it's my people killing somebody else in righteousness. I love it. Because the only way we're going to realize, and the only way we're going to, you know, become what we're supposed to be is, first off, we got to conquer our mind. We have to get the oppression and the colonization out of our mind first. That's the first thing we got to do. And how we do that? Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. I'll read it to you because I know y'all ain't got you. I know you ain't got, you're not on your fingers. You're not on your toes right now. So I'm going to read it to you. Whenever you're in class with me, I always have Baruch 4 and 1 ready for you. I always have it out and ready because I'm going to it. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endureth forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. If you're going to keep the Most High's law, statutes, commandments, you're going to live. If you don't, you're going to die. Right. That's why we're in the state we're in right now. That's why we're mentally dead, because we don't want to keep the Most High's laws. We're spiritually dead because we don't want to keep his statutes and commandments. And we will truly be dead in the ground when we face the judgments for not keeping the law, statutes, and commandments. So it's your choice. You have a choice. Let's get back into this thing. It says settlers lashed out with violent raids of their own, killing 15 Creek men during the same period. The numbers show that Creeks had more to fear from white Georgians in 1786 than the reverse. So the Creek Indians really were even though they were under attack, they didn't show no fear, even though they had no chance of winning. They didn't have no fear. They didn't show no fear. They kept doing what they were doing. They kept doing it. It says, under constant threat of violence from the east, many Muskogee leaders called for peace and eventually signed the Treaty of Shoulderbone Creek in November 1786. Trooper Gashawn.
What comes?
Shoulderbone Treaty. Quick, give me a quick 5 lines on the Shoulderbone Treaty so the people can understand. And we're gonna break once again, Akwafian and Ma'akim. What's gonna happen is in the future, I'm gonna do more and more about these Gadites and Reubenites because they're my people just like they're your people. That's right. And we need to know about what they did and how they did it because it will help us. Once we learn how they fought back, we can do the same thing. I'm not saying we're going to go out and pick up arms and go to war against them. Now, we ain't got to do none of that. But we can't stop spending money with them. That'll stop everything. Go ahead there, Trooper Kashawn. A little bit about the Shoulderbone Treaty.
Only thing I got saved is the part about the plaque.
Read what's on the plaque. Read what's on the plaque if you got it.
Con. The Shoulderbone Treaty, which was considered to be the Buffalo League. The inscription, this site is described in the treaty signed by Creek and Cherokee Indians at Augusta, Georgia in 1773.
Stop right there. Ibaria, Officer Ibaria. This happened in the area in which you live, down in Augusta, Georgia. Keep going there, Trooper Gashawn.
To lock it out of one, I have to. It's gonna give up the locations and the top in the series. I need a second to pull the rest of it.
All right, you pull it up. I'm gonna keep reading. All right. This is another portion of that that same article we were reading. It's a 318-page article, and I'm just reading snippets of it. And this part right here says a few violent incidents. Now we're talking about how Brotherhood is a weapon. Creek Indians came together with other Creek Indians to fight the oppressor. Right. If that ain't Brotherhood being a weapon, I don't know what it is. Even though the Creek Indians right now are a defeated people, they still show Brotherhood in their defeat. Let's go on. We're going to read this right here. It says a few violent incidents occurred in May and June of 1786 as Muskogee dissatisfaction with the Oconee secession continued. Violent raids elicited dramatically exaggerated responses from Georgians, and for that reason, some Tawa leaders disavowed them. Meaning that some of the leaders of the Creek Indians, they did not want to deal with what other Creek Indians were doing. Just like today, we would call them what? Sambo Coons. You understand? The house end with the hard R. Go ahead.
I got
got it whenever you're ready.
All right, give me a second. Let me read a little bit more of this. It say these raids themselves involve men from several different upper and lower towns, talking about the Creek Indians now, suggesting widespread disagreements between young hunters and Tawa leaders. Georgia responses began with the rhetoric but escalated quickly. So what's happening here is the old man and the young man within the Creek Nation began to see things differently. The young men want to continue to fight. The old men want to, try to come to some type of peaceful agreement with these oppressors. You know what I'm saying? That's how the oppressor does it. The oppressor come in and bring in what? Dissension among the ranks. He's going to separate the young from the old. He's going to pit the old against the young, the male against the female. Y'all know the Willie Lynch letter, right? This is a prerequisite to it. It says, the process began in early May when a Muskogee Border Patrol killed and scalped. Oh, Lord. It said the process began in early May and when a Muskogee Border Patrol killed and scalped one white Georgian near the Oconee River in Washington County. If anybody don't know what Washington County, Georgia is, the town seat is called Sandersville, modern day Sandersville, Georgia. All right? So this is where that happened at. Down in the country where the Negroes stay. A Muskogee Border Patrol agent, we're going to call them Border Patrol agent because they were patrolling the borders to keep the oppressors out, killed a white man on the river, scalped him. Scalped him. Right. You know what I'm talking about? He pulled that hair back and just pulled that knife. I wish I had my knife. I would show you how he did it. I truly would show you how he did it. You know what I'm saying? But you're just going to have to use your imagination. But he did that. Let's find out what happened. It's a militia, Colonel Jonathan Clements of Burke County, that's Jefferson, Georgia. Jefferson, Georgia. Just west of Washington, wrote to Governor Edward Telfair requesting, I take that back. Burke County is Louisville, Georgia. Y'all can look these things up after class, but Burke County is Louisville, Georgia. It says, wrote to Governor Edward Telfair requesting ammunition so he could march to the neighboring county's aid. So this oppressor is calling onto the governor and asking for help, saying, man, we can't deal with these natives. They doing too much. Can you send us some ammunition? We need a little help down here. You know what I'm saying? Right. It says overstating the Muskogee threat. Clements declared that unless the people of Washington County get a reinforcement, it will be impossible for them to withstand the enemy. Let me read that to you again, because I don't think y'all heard me. Because y'all, if you at home, you should be clapping. It said, overstating the Muskogee threat, Clements declared that unless the people of Washington County get a reinforcement, it will be impossible for them to withstand the enemy being the Creek Indians. Right. So these oppressors already know in their mind that they can't beat the Creek Indians. We can't beat these folk right here. Young man Charles, you still got your hand on Genesis 49? Young man Charles.
Salaki, sir.
You still got your finger on Genesis 49 and 19? Read it again.
Book of Genesis, chapter 49. Salaki, the book of Genesis, chapter 49 and 19. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last.
Now listen at this right here now. These Peckerwood, pale-faced bastards told the governor that if we don't get no help, we can't win. That's basically what he's saying. These Creek Indians are too strong and too mighty for us. We need some help. They say a few days later, Clements repeated the intelligence indicated the hostile intention of the Creeks, and I expect every day to hear more people being killed by them. Can we give the Muskogee Creek Indians a hand? Let's give them a hand.
Right.
Let's get these Gadite brothers a hand. These brothers of yours, of mine, of ours, these sisters of ours, they went to war with an oppressor who we are afraid of. And think about it this way. When the oppressor got here, only thing that our people had were, bows and arrows to hunt buffalo. Think about that now. And we wiping the tail of these oppressors. Think about that. Think about that. When we look at this thing, Triple Concern, get ready to read that article right there, or that sign that I want you to read. When we look at what's going on, and we see how the creeks came together, can somebody explain to me or tell me, is that brotherhood or is that not brotherhood? What the Creek Indians did, is it brotherhood or is it not brotherhood? Because today is a brotherhood class. So somebody please tell me, is this brotherly what the Native Americans, the Creek Indians, is that brotherly what they're doing? Somebody tell me. Everybody don't speak at once. Is it a brotherly thing for them to go to war with their oppressor? Go ahead.
So lock you out of one.
Go ahead.
You got to do multiple things at one time. I was trying to find a precept, but I'll paraphrase it if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Any man that will lie down his life for his brother, he's a gift from the Most High.
I got you. Oh yeah. Now that precept right there is the Creek Indians. The Most High Christ was talking about the Creek Indians when they said that. Because the Creek Indians laid down their life for their brother. Some died, but a whole bunch of them live, and a whole bunch of them live right now not knowing that they're Creek Indians. They claim to be in with the hard R. They Negroes with the hard R. Just remember I said it. Negroes with the hard R. That's what they are. But in actuality, they are Gadites, Creek Indians, from the tribe of Gad. That's what they are. But, the oppressor has called them so many other things that they've forgotten their first estate, which is Israel. Read that when you got it, Triple Deshaun. Go ahead.
Con. This is the Shoulderbone Creek Treaty. Inscription. Near the mouth of Shoulderbone Creek on the banks of the Oconee River, a treaty of amity, peace, and commerce was signed by 8 commissioners representing the state of Georgia and 59 head men of the Creek Confederation, November the 3rd, 1786. Among the terms of the treaty was one ceding all lands east of the Oconee River to the white man to ensure faithful performance. The Indians left in the hands of the Georgians 5 of their men. These were Chiwakli Miko of the Coetas, Chukas, and his brother Sokawaki of the Kusetas, in Earthlakano, Salakia, in Natuleke, Local, that's it. Salakia, second man of Broken Arrow, and Inatoleke, nephew of the headman of the Squeglos. Representing the state of Georgia at Shoulderbone were John Habersham for Chatham County, Abraham Revat of Effingham County, John Clements for Burke, James McNeil for Richmond, John King for Wilkes County, James Power for Liberty, Fernando O'Neill for Glenn and Camden County, Jared Irwin for Franklin, Greene, and Washington County, and Benjamin Porter. The treaty was soon repudiated by Creek Chief Alexander McGillivray, who, sympathetic with the Spaniards, of Florida had refused to attend and contended the representation of Creeks at the shoulder bone, and they cut it off. They didn't want to. I guess they didn't want to talk about the rest.
You read enough. You read enough, especially when you read the part where it says, and I hope y'all caught what he said. All lands east of the Oconee River. Now, when you look at all land east of the Oconee River, that encompasses South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. What we know as West Virginia and Virginia, all that is east of the Oconee River, and it's over 2 million acres that was given away, or stolen, so to speak. Let that noise pass by. It was over 2 million acres stolen, or 200 million. How many was it?
Salakia. It wasn't stolen. I got to argue. You want me to read the whole story?
Now, the reason I say it was stolen is because of this right here. You got 8 men. Listen at what you said now. Listen at what you read. You got 8 men that were representing one group and 200 or so representing another group. Is that a balance? No, it's not. We know that this land belongs to the people of the 10 tribes, the 10 northern tribes, the northern kingdom. We know that. The reason I use the land being stolen is because when you look at how the oppressor moves, it wasn't just that they signed the land over to be safe and protect themselves from the oppressor. It was the oppressor being slick to take the land. Even though they may have signed some paperwork or documents saying, yeah, we succeed this land over to you, it's still a theft. Because when you look at it, the oppressor has no right to this land at all. Right. None at all. That's why it's stolen land. That's why I can sit back and literally look at the stories of the Native Americans and say that we are all on stolen land. Even though the history the writers of history would say that it wasn't stolen, it was signed over, pen to paper, X marks the spot, you know what I'm saying? Mark your sign on the paper so we'll know, it's still stolen. It's still stolen because it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. If I give you something that doesn't belong to me, I'm giving you stolen property. Right. The land didn't really belong to those men that were at that Shoulder Bone Creek, the signing of the treaty of Shoulder Bone Creek, the Treaty of Augusta, Buffalo Lick. No, it wasn't their land. It was the land of their forefathers that they were giving away. So technically, the land was stolen. Stolen all the way together. Now I know paperwork gonna say it wasn't stolen, but it's stolen because it's the land of their forefathers that they were not supposed to give away. They were tricked into giving it away. When you go back and read in the detail of what actually happened, because I got one more portion of this article that I want to read, this 318-page article that I want to read, that'll show you that it ain't what it seems. How you don't hear this type of history about Native Americans every day. Even in your child's school books or what have you, when you were in school, you didn't hear this right here. You didn't hear what I'm finna read to you. Go ahead, Triple Sean.
Yeah, what you're talking about right now is so heavy because they didn't tell them how Black Wall Street was really right down there where we really were. How our big one, the one that went up to Trail of Tears and helped build up Tulsa and stuff like that. That type of stuff. What they did to us at Shoulder Bone. We had manufacturing companies and stuff like that back in the early 1700s and stuff like that. In the late 1600s, early 1700s, we had full-blown manufacturing brick. What you see up there in Chicago or something like that, we had that alongside our creek banks and stuff like that. So we got articles and everything like that to prove it.
And what he's saying?
The Skull Show. Look up the Skull Show's Massacre, Greene County, Georgia. And you'll see all the manufacturers. You'll still see some of the bricks from the manufacturing company to this day still standing, and they still got the skulls of our ancestors, of some of my family members down there on display above ground. The Confederate cave beast is the devil that the Bible speaks.
Say it the way you were gonna say it. Say it the way you were gonna say it. It's cool. Say it.
What, Confederate cave devil? He just a goddamn devil.
The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That's what I was talking about. Period. He the devil. He the devil. And the reason he's so much of a devil is because of how much deception he has brought to our people. Devil only mean deceiver. You have been deceived, Native American man, Creek Indian, Muskogean. You have been deceived. They told you that you are in with the hard R. My brother, you a Gadite. The Negroes are the one they brought on that boat off the shores of the Gold Coast of Africa. You know what I'm saying? Those are the Negroes. You, sir, are a Gadite. You, ma'am, are a Gadite. And they lumped us all in together as if we the same. Yeah, we the same. We all come from Israel. But within that, there are 12 tribes, 12 brothers that had 12 families. Think about it. So even though we are the same, we are different. We are different. But because the oppressor is so much of a deceiver and a devil, you know, he will have you to believe that, oh, y'all are the same. Y'all just some niggas with the hard R. That's what you are to him. All of us in the same boat. Even the Hispanic brothers, you know what I'm saying? The oppressor, when he's sitting at home at the table, do you think he's saying, I hate them Mexicans? Nah, he said, I hate them niggas that got the wet back that crossing the border. That's what he's saying. All of us are niggas to the oppressor. Whether you're a Judite or Israelite, in any tribe in between, you are considered what they would call an in with the hard R. Period. Ain't nothing else you can say about that. Last part of this article that we're gonna read, and we're gonna bring out some more of this in the future days to come. But you just need to know that the Creek Indians had more brotherhood than a little bit. So I'm gonna read this last little bit, and I'm gonna turn the class over. Go ahead before I read it. Go ahead.
If I may, well, you might not have time to do it, but I had sent you the article with the other part of the Shoulder Bone Treaty, what they did down in Augusta about the 2 million acres. I had sent you that article, and I would just want to say that was brother, because when we said we were going to stop fighting and we would just see land to them to a 4-piece, and that's why those five Gadite brothers went down now to sign that treaty. They gave up 2 million. They didn't lease the land out. They didn't sell the land. They gave the land just for our oppressors to stop killing, just to try to appease him. Try to ease his mind, try to relax him, try to make him comfortable. Never trying to be equal to him, because we never know. We knew back then that we weren't equal to that devil. We were nothing like him, and we knew back then that he wasn't our brother. We gave him 2 million acres to separate from him, just so he can have his own point, just so he can have his own land, and still wouldn't know. You cannot feel the gut of a devil. So lock.
What you just said is so heavy, and you right. Because I ain't got like 1 minute. We're going to have to do that next week. Lord willing, we're going to bring all this out next week. We're going to keep talking about these Native Americans. I got plenty more articles that I want to bring out about the Native Americans. And what you just sent me, I just read it. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that next week because it's so much information inside of that one. I'm going to ask y'all a question about something. And I want you to keep it in your mind until next week. Do anybody know of a movie called Sweet Home Alabama, starring Reese Witherspoon? Go ahead.
I've seen that movie.
Okay. That movie is shot on Indian grounds. I'm going to tell you another movie. Anybody heard of the movie Gone with the Wind? Gone with the Wind is when you go out when you leave the school Inwood and you get on you go either toward Candler Road or you go down 285 and you get on I-20 and you take I-20 east going toward Augusta. You're gonna come up on a little town called Madison, Georgia. That movie setting is about Madison, Georgia. So we're gonna break all that down and what they got to do with Native Americans and black people. Go ahead.
That's where my grandmother is from, and she's actually Cherokee. My father's side is Creek. My mother's side is Cherokee. But my grandparents are from Madison. They still have the teepees set up down there. It's close to Lake Lanier.
Now, everything that we talked about tonight, your family in Morgan County, Georgia, in Oconee County, Georgia, and in what's that other little county right there, Gashawn, with Monroe? All those little counties right there together is a part of these articles that we're talking about right now. And I'm going to read one more sentence in this article, or two more, and I'm going to turn the class over to Austin Nakasha one, because what we need to know is that brotherhood is truly a weapon. And when we come together as brothers, when we come together as sisters under one banner, under one thought process, you know what I'm saying, moving as one, Shema Yasharala Yahweh Allah Yahweh Akkad, Hero Israel, the Lord our God is one God. If we move like that, we can't be defeated. So here's the one more couple more sentences out of this article, and we're gonna clip class here in a second. It says, when Creeks suffered death at the hands of white settlers, Georgia's justice system usually failed to provide satisfaction. When this happened, Muskogees or Creeks carried out justice on Creek terms by committing retributive murders to balance the deaths of clan members. Meaning, an eye for an eye. You kill mine, I'm killing yours. And with that, I'm turning the class over to the powerful priest and the prophet, also Nakasha One.
Shalom, Israel. We are the I.S.U.P.K. Start out on 1 West 125th Street in Harlem, New York. Rule for a new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They're here to share themselves with the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has any interest, a particular interest in a person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, brother and sister will get the permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find it in Numbers 18 to 21 and Malachi 3, 8 and 10. Ma'ashara, 10 in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, which is a free will offering to the priest. It is not mandatory, whatsoever amount that you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, we have the Feast Memorial of the Blowing of the Trumpets. It is on September the 6th. I believe that is a Monday, next Monday to be exact. Any brother that wants to come into the school, you want to become a trooper, start wearing all black, boots, shirt, pants, head, scarf, and that's it to that. So, men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, Amijam. Amijam Shabbat. Amijam Barak. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah. Y'all tie hands down. What I just said in Hebrew was, may the Most High bless you in the name of Christ. And we got one salute to the sister. She's online. Men of Israel, Amijam. Amijam Shabbat. Amijam Barak. Yahweh Shemar Latah Bashem Yahushua. What we just said was, I'm going to translate it to the Hebrew for the sister. It is the Most High watch over you in the name of Christ. Y'all tie hands down. Class dismissed.